opening that way.
Vendramini grabbed the back of his right leg.
Jumps right. Wow! Fight Clock is brought to you by Movlid.
A few times Barboza got up.
Unbelievably right now. He sees.
In mixed martial arts, every strike counts. But only a few moments captivate us fight enthusiasts, quite like devastating knee strike knockouts. In today's video, we'll take a wild roller coaster ride through the most horrifying knee strikes in MMA, including those you may never have seen before. We'll kick things off with the most electrifying fighter on the planet, and his name is Michael Venom Page. You'll never know if he's an MMA fighter, a dancer, or a cosplayer, unless you watch some of his fights. And what's a better way of knowing more about the man than looking back at his most devastating knockout victory? Brazil's Cyborg Santos had a tough time dealing with MVP when they fought in 2019. Chris Cyborg's ex-husband was just getting beat up until a desperate takedown helped ease the pressure. Round 2 was again a nightmare for Santos on the feet. Late in the second round, MVP put his opponent out of there with a thudding knee strike that was heard worldwide. As Santos lay on the floor in agony, MVP celebrated his victory with some cool Pokemon cosplay. Santos suffered a gruesome frontal sinus fracture,
not have timed it any better,
which was easily seen without any of those fancy digital scans. Now, what MVP can do, Johnny Walker can do with greater power. The Brazilian's an absolute character outside of the cage, and some believe he was born with CTE. Though Walker lost his way a bit midway through his UFC career, his beginning was 35. Walker was 3-0 in the UFC back then and was a sizable favorite. He didn't disappoint against Cirkunov either. The fight lasted only 30-odd seconds, with Walker finishing it with a brutal flying knee followed by punches.
Let's take a look at this again. Boom!
On an otherwise perfect night, Walker hilariously dislocated his shoulder during his warm dance celebration. Even the boss was taken aback.
This kid's special, and I wish he would stop doing that shit after.
Cory Sandhagen may not be as powerful as Walker, but he still has enough fire in his armory to take out a legend, Frankie Edgar. Having witnessed Aljamain Sterling's show-stealing performance, where he not only dominated, but also tucked Sandhagen in for a little nap.
He's going to sleep. He's going to go to sleep. Yep, he's going to go to sleep.
Edgar was eager to display his wrestling skills as well, but he found himself literally coming up a bit short. The fight started and Edgar pressed forward, throwing level change feints, but unfortunately he hadn't prepared for the worst case scenario. Sandhagen's flying knee packed such a wallop that poor Edgar had trouble recalling anything for hours on end.
The doctor asked me what date it was. For the life of me, I could not remember. I'm like, September, December, you know?
For all the aspiring MMA fighters out there,
it's no fun, man. It's a job, just like any other job. So the question is, not did you think you had to make weight? Did you think you had to do this? Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Alex Pereira's journey in the UFC has been nothing short of a fairy tale. He inked his UFC deal back in 2020.
Now it's official. UFC, thank you.
Who let this guy in?
And since then, it's been a roller coaster ride with multiple title fights. Michailidis had a pretty okay first round thanks to his wrestling-heavy approach. In the second round, Pereira decided he'd had enough of the tango. Poatan burst out of the gate like a racehorse after hearing the starting bell and dropped Michailidis with a humongous knee strike.
With all the clinch and the grab. Oh, goodness!
It's a different kind of power, man. I mean,
my God.
He just starches people and so calm about it. He tried to walk off, but Big Dan.
Michailidis was done and dusted on the follow-up. Alex Pereira couldn't have asked for a better start to his UFC career. They say Yoel Romero has that dog in him. The Cuban's a human specimen known for his physicality and explosiveness even at 40 plus. And this is how he started his UFC career. Romero continued to tear through everybody in the UFC middleweight division before putting his incredible power on display against Chris Weidman in 2016. The first 2 rounds of the fight were back and forth. Weidman landed his shots, and Romero inflicted damage with his.
Beautiful takedown. Boy, look at that.
The Cuban, however, had the last laugh when he launched a missile of a knee early in the third round.
Talking about Romero, the sensational, explosive ability.
Weidman was bloodied up as Romero celebrated his 8th consecutive victory in a row. Romero is certainly a Greek god, but how do you become one?
Tienes que ser verdaderamente una máquina.
You have to become a fucking machine.
But it's not only machine in the fight. No. Machine in your life.
Yeah.
From one Cuban to another, Jorge Masvidal's KO was way more spectacular than that of his counterpart, primarily because it was personal. Ahead of their fight at UFC 239, Ben Askren chirped a bit too much.
He's trying to make every excuse why he doesn't have to fight me. You never heard him once say, put me against Askren, he's an easy fight, I'll kick his ass. He didn't say that. Masvidal
resorted to talking with his fists inside the cage.
For sure, I don't like this dude, as everybody can know. So it's going to be brutal, man. It's going to be...
When the cage door closed, Masvidal was cool as a cucumber, leaning against the cage and smiling as if he knew what was going to happen. As soon as the fight started, Masvidal ran towards his opponent and launched a nuke of a knee strike. He followed it up with a couple of big punches, leaving us all wondering if they were necessary.
Clock is brought to you by Movlid.
Well, according to Jorge,
weren't really necessary. Maybe
they were super necessary.
From one fast KO to another, we're not slowing down. And our next knockout features undefeated sensation Movlid Khaybulaev. For years, he was the main training partner of Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Movlid, I think more than like maybe 14 years, 13 to 14 years, like since like 2007 when he came to my father training. All these years we train together, we know each other very good, and you know, it's like he's like for my couple fights, he was my main sparring partner too.
Not everyone can spar with Khabib, and in his featherweight bout against Damon Jackson in 2019, Movlid showed that he was truly elite. Jackson started the fight aggressively, trying to walk his opponent down, but Movlid stopped him in his tracks with a flying knee to the face. Thankfully, no super necessary punches were landed in this one.
Just so confident, so comfortable. Watch, he can follow that up.
If you're enjoying this video, why not give our subscribe button a hearty haymaker of your own? Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos may not have fulfilled his potential as a fighter, but he still packs a punch. That was Strickland's first loss by knockout, but dos Santos didn't stop there. In his very next fight, he produced another highlight reel knockout, this time with an electrifying flying knee.
And he's backing up like he's hurt. That's all she wrote. Bang!
Now, what took dos Santos 7 fights to accomplish in the UFC, his compatriot Ismael did in his very first promotional bout. Before entering the UFC lightweight Shark Tank, Bonfim was riding an impressive 12-fight winning streak with 7 finishes. Regardless, McKinney still saw holes in the Brazilian's game.
I watched his videos. I think he's a decision machine, but he likes to get down, and I think that's just going to play in my favor.
In the first round, Bonfim showcased his slick striking, repeatedly giving McKinney a glimpse of his power. McKinney spent most of the first round holding Bonfim in the clinch, although he finished the round strong with a takedown. As round 2 rolled in, Bonfim was still on the express lane to victory.
Uppercut from Bonfim.
Midway through the second stanza, Bonfim made his foe eat his words by first knocking his mouthpiece out with a punch and then adding some acrobatics to the mix, landing a switch knee that connected with McKinney's chin like a bullseye. McKinney crashed onto the canvas, and within a couple of seconds, the fight was over.
By Gabriel Bonfim. Oh.
Love them or hate them, Brazilians are fierce competitors. Like Edson, Barboza is truly one of a kind, a striker who specializes in highlight reel kicks.
The first real kick.
Knee strikes? He doesn't land them very often, but when he does, it's bad news. For nearly 8 minutes of their lightweight fight in 2017, Beneil Dariush crowded Barboza. Dariush even level changed a couple of times for takedowns, but with little success, of course. Dariush's level changes were pretty clumsy, to be fair, and the Assyrian-American became a little too predictable with his strategy. So the final time he went for a takedown, Barboza sent him to the land of ghosts with a picture-perfect flying knee to the face. With that, it's time for some GOAT stuff.
Last thing.
Flyweight GOAT Demetrious Johnson has had a wonderful career, and he continues to wreak havoc in the Singapore-based One Championship, where he has only lost once against Adriano Moraes. The flyweight world title fight between DJ and Moraes was a tactical battle. Being the smaller guy, Johnson had trouble creating opportunities to attack. The fight was neck and neck until Moraes secured a takedown and dominated. Round 2 was very much the same, with Johnson failing to manage distance, leading to him getting reckless. Once in close quarters, Moraes cracked his foe with a punch and then a horrific knee strike.
Tough position now for the champion. Throws a knee.
Now for UFC aficionados, knees to a grounded opponent are perfectly legal in one championship, making it a little more violent and entertaining than its noisy counterpart. Needless to say, Johnson's fans questioned one championship's rule set, but Mighty Mouse took his loss on the chin since he was given a level playing field.
I like these rules. You know, like I said, it's a progression of a fight. So I went down on my back. I was coming up for an underhook. Adriano had me posted. He blasted a knee. The fight's over. It's done. I don't get any more concussions. It's just done.
A year later, Johnson gave his arch rival a taste of his own medicine. In their title rematch in September 2022, Johnson fought a lot better. He was smart early in the first round. He got badly rocked in the second.
Early stages. DJ's wobbled. Is he hurt? Yes, he is wobbled up against the fence.
He mounted a comeback in the third.
High knee, you got it. DJ that time comes back.
And he finished the job in a gruesome and somewhat sweet manner in the fourth. The finishing sequence was like poetry in motion, a perfect slip, counter, and jaw-crushing knee to the face to exact revenge. The final KO in our video is relatively unknown, courtesy of Roman Feraldo and Robert Turnquest. Remember the MVP knee knockout we showed you earlier in the video? Well, this one is just as good, if not better. Roman Feraldo was quite the prospect when he fought Robert Turnquest at Bellator 271, and he lived up to the hype. Feraldo started the fight slowly, picking his opponent apart in a calculated manner. Once he started to get comfortable, Feraldo turned up the heat.
Jab, another jab.
Seconds later, he rocked and mocked his opponent. Turnquest was badly hurt, and once Feraldo sensed it, he went in for the kill.
What a knee! Knockout!
A flying knee to the face, leaving your opponent stiff as a plank. We've surely seen that one before. And there you have it, fight fans, a collection of the most spine-chilling knee knockouts in MMA. Which KO did you enjoy the most? Let us know in the comments section below.